Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another SwansCast podcast. I'm delighted this time to be joined by Pete and Justin from the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast. I think it's the third time you've been here now, gents. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much. To be here. No, good to be here, mate.
No, it's brilliant. We obviously caught up yesterday when we recorded the flip of this for yourselves. Always good to see what's going on in Watford. I know last time we spoke, you were very complimentary of maybe how the Swans were going to beat Watford in the home leg of this fixture. And I'm sure all the listeners that might remember that video probably walked away after the game and was like, what were they on about? But I think that maybe is a good place to start, just in regards to maybe how your season's gone since then. Because from what we said yesterday, it sounds like that acted as a catalyst for a bit of good form from yourselves, which perhaps you doubted before that match. And then in more recent times, maybe it's gone back to the sort of conversation we've had for that match, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. It made for good form away. We hadn't really won any. Was it a year or something, Peter, that we hadn't won a game away before that?
We had won one game away in a year. We hadn't won away since February when we played you guys in October. So we're really sorry.
We like to do things like that. We gave Plymouth their first win away in the season the other day. So
yeah, no. So certainly our away form after that improved. I mean, we were doing quite nicely away. And we were holding our own at home. It wasn't, knocking down any doors. But since Boxing Day, when we played Bristol City and lost 4-1, we've just looked shonky, not really, really bad. 1 win in 6 games now, I think, Peter, is that correct?
I think it's about 1 in 9. It's
1 in 9? 1 win in 9 games?
I know it's 1 in 6 in all competitions. No, it's we've lost 5 out of 6. Basically, that's that number. But I think we've won 1 in 9. It's really, we are. As Justin said, we went on that spell. The game against you guys got us on a really good run away from home, and I think at one stage we were 4th or 5th best away record. But at home we're literally 24th. We haven't had a win at home since November. I mean, it's really poor. And it's, and as you can imagine, we haven't fired a manager yet, but the jungle drums are going off in the supporters side, because our modus operandi. So
yeah. So how is your manager getting on? Obviously, we have had a managerial change, but yeah, you haven't had one yourselves. You find yourselves 2 points ahead of us at the moment. But how is Ishmael getting on at the moment?
It's strange and unsettling, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still in the job. I really am, because we've let managers go for far worse form than this. He's also making some very strange decisions regarding some players. His football is not likable. I'm really not bothered if he goes now, to be honest with you. I think I don't know. I'm always against getting rid of managers just for the sake of getting rid of managers, but he's lost it. I think you've just heard what our form's like. That's not good management. The team don't look coached. He doesn't seem to have a plan B. Not quite sure what his plan A is. So for me, it's baffling that he's still in a job, going back on what we know about how they've treated previous head coaches before him. So yeah, not great. Peter, you're probably going to be more complimentary, I imagine.
No. Maybe a little more detailed, I'd hope. No, he's when Val came in, he, the good things he has done is he kind of got a really dreadful morale and culture in the dressing room, and 4 players got bounced either out of the team to the bench, or from the team, or from the bench right out of the squad for not turning up to various meetings and stuff. And that kind of pulled everything in, and we kind of did okay, having had a bit of a false start to the season, not doing very well. We got to October and we picked up on that run after that international break and the game against you guys, and we're suddenly doing well. And we were kind of, really just on the cusp of the of the playoffs, having been at 21st when the club decided to give him a new contract. And we all went, what? Why? What is this, some kind of wind up? Have we put the whole engine into reverse this time? But since Boxing Day, we turned up at our place to play Bristol City, and they gubbed us 4-1, and they weren't lucky at all. It was we just got outdone, outthought, and we're in that tricky kind of second half of the season where teams know what we're going to do and have kind of sussed out how we're going to play, and they negate it.
Yeah.
And we are not the greatest team going forward. We don't really have pace. We have a very slow build up at the back, and it gives teams chances to kind of recover. So we've got a forward who does nothing unless he's from 9 yards away from goal and got the ball on his head with a clear goal to score. So yeah, no, we're in a bit of a pickle, and yeah, a lot of the fans are going, we can't understand, having got used to this modus operandi of the management going over the last, well, nearly decade now. Certainly since 2019, it's been regular that we've had a turnover that suddenly they're really not, and we're all going, well, come on, then wave the corner flag, which is the kind of social media demonstration of, oh, we're going to sack another one normally, and we're waiting for it because
Yeah.
in any normal culture of football, you would go 1 in 9, and it's
Yeah.
not good.
Michael Duff was experienced similar earlier in the season. We didn't have the best form, and ultimately he did pay the price for that. I think, did you mention to me earlier this season there was some financial troubles? We didn't have that much money at the moment with the investments in the squad. Do you think there's partially reasons with that might be linked to why he maybe is still here?
There is a suggestion that might be the case. To my understanding, it kind of isn't. The previous accounts that have just been released were a marked improvement because we made a £27 million profit because we'd sold 60 million quid's worth of players, including Yao Pedro, who we sold last April.
Yeah.
April. That tells you why they were doing that, to get the money in for the accounts. That's fine. So they made a profit, etc. We paid up £2 million worth of terminations for that. The previous year we had done 8. So yeah, they don't want to do it. But our understanding is, our belief is that there's a sort of whilst they extended his contract, it's almost like we've almost extended the option because we've got a break clause at the end of the season. So whether or not they are just going, well, there's no point really, and they just don't want to jump, or they don't want to make the change. But culturally, it must be very difficult for them because they're so used to going, well, pull the trigger, it ain't working, and they're not doing that now. So we're all kind of a little bit, okay, so what's coming next? What's going to change? Because we haven't made many signings, and that's one of the kind of always going to be a player thing. We signed one player in the transfer window in January, and we released 3. We got 24 senior players beforehand. We now have 22. So every time we have more than one injury, we can't fill the bench effectively. It's kind of no, that's a misnomer, because we like to see the youngsters coming through and coming on. We'd like to see them get a chance, absolutely. But you can see that our squad is very thin. It's very threadbare, and it was already fairly a little bit unremarkable. And they were getting through those earlier parts with being kind of resilient. We never score first. We've been ahead at half time twice all season, and that was when we gubbed QPR 4-0 in the first half of the first game at home, which gave us all false expectations. And then when we played Rotherham and we were 2 or 3-0 up against them, at no other game, the first half, have we gone in a goal up any time at home. Gives you kind of an indication how it goes.
So you think you're ready to move on, Justin, then, especially then from this run at the moment?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. What do you mean in terms of manager? You mean move on from here?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm just. I mean, when we look at Rob Edwards and when he was asked to move on, his form and was so much better than Vows's at the moment. And you think, well, if we can get rid of a young, promising manager like that after 11 games, but we've got this guy who's just literally dragging us down the league, and we're keeping him, something's not quite, like Peter said, it must be hurting them, because their normal MO is to go out next.
Yeah.
So to actually sort of grit their teeth and stand by must be making them itch inside, I think.
Yeah, I think from the outside, obviously, Watford have got a reputation for it, and maybe it's a bit surprising, but can you make a full season without it happening? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Knowing our luck, we'll go up there and you'll bounce back against us again now, and it will be happy days for a couple of weeks. But
please win 3-0 and then we can say goodbye, because that really will be the final nail, I reckon. I think a drubbing from you on Wednesday, they cannot. He's got to go.
We haven't done a drubbing yet under Luke Williams, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, but that means you're owed one. I mean, we have to go back to our last 2 games, right? We had we lost to Huddersfield, and they just brought in Andre Breinreitner. First game, yep. Here's your 3 points. Enjoy going back up the M1, and then we were Millwall. Neil Harris's first game, yeah. There is a thing that you can achieve with the manager bounce, and our owner was always a great believer in it. It stopped happening for us because we were doing a manager bounce every 2.5 months, basically. You know, the players weren't surprised. They were just kind of like going through the mill and thinking, well, you're never going to be here again, are you? So why I won't listen to you. But yeah, we can give a fillip to a new fresh manager anytime. Get somebody's season going. That's welcome to Watford, everybody.
You've mentioned that some of his style of play is a little bit worked out at the moment. So what can we expect to see when we do travel up to Watford on the pitch?
He doesn't play like a traditional Valerian Ismail team. If you saw Barnsley, it ain't that. He's always previously played a 3-4-3, and he did that at West Brom, and he did it at Besiktas before he came to us, and he absolutely did it to good effect at Barnsley. Here, for some reason, he's decided he's going to go 4-3-3. We did play around with a 4-2-3-1 sort of, but it's very close to the 4-3-3 anyway. It's just kind of one dropping and one pushing on slightly on Saturday. But he takes a long time to work it out. There was a thing in the paper the other day with him where they were talking about this problem with the first half, and he said they like to basically sit off and see what the opposition are going to do for the first 20 to 25 minutes. And it's like, well, that's a great idea.
I would say from
Good
our
plan.
reverse fixture, that's what happened.
Well, and it's great, providing you're going to do something to counter it. What we've not seen from Ismail at any point is any form of tactical flexibility other than turning to 4-2-3-1 Saturday. Sorry, that's the one time he's done it. It's not like he makes any in-game adjustments. He's got. We got told beforehand, and everyone went, "Oh, it'll be very boring. It'll be the same. He'll make his substitutions on the 60th minute, and he'll just say, no, we're carrying on with this." And we are at that point of looking at those West Brom fans and going, "We're very sorry. We doubted you, Smoggies. Sorry."
I mean, some of that's positive for Swansea fans to hear, I think, because the last couple of games, especially, Swansea have been starting really quite well in the first half. A lot of our goals under Luke Williams are coming in the first half, and quite often we're not holding on, but after half time, we're not as much in control, and the other teams coming into the game a bit more. And if you look at the last 2 results, where we've got 2-1 wins, we scored 2 in the first half and then conceded a goal at some point in the second half. That means, oh, can we hold on, a little bit on the ropes then going towards the end of the game? So based on what you just said, do you see maybe a similar sort of theme going into this one?
Yes. Yeah, probably, because we seem to concede early on. That seems to be something that we do a lot. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to score your goals in the first half, that could probably finish the game off. That happened to us on Saturday. We conceded in the second minute a long range free kick that took a deflection, but it went in. And we had no answer for that. So yeah, I think if that's the way you play, I know we always give you this false hope, Luke, and then but this is genuine. We're not saying this to sort of give you false hope.
I know.
We're actually looking at how we've been this season and gone, we're not very good. And I think the stats, our league position and our form would back that up. I really do.
The thing is, you'll know, because Swansea, I'm sure, will have the equivalent things where the media or those supporters at other clubs will pick up on certain things and go, "Oh, well, that's the case, isn't it?" And you'll kind of exhale and go, "Yeah, right. Let me explain the story." There is one of the things we keep getting told is Watford are really dangerous just outside the box, long range shots. We score more than anybody, and that's not actually a lie. But what the actual truth is underlying it is we cannot create anything inside the box. We don't hit anybody on the break. We're so ponderous at the back and keeping the ball that we very, very rarely break. And if we do, we turn out and keep the ball because we don't really have any pace in the wide areas, especially. None that's been particularly effective. Matthias Martins has had a good part of the season, but he's gone off the boil because we've got 22 players. They're knackered. They are
Yeah.
absolutely exhausted. And just to further, kind of make me like him just that little bit more. The other week, Valerian came out and said, because we were all banging on saying, well, why haven't we signed anybody? Why have we let 3 people go and bought one player in who isn't fit, which is Emmanuel Dennis? Great pedigree, had a great season at Watford, can have an argument in a phone box apparently, but that's not the problem. He just basically isn't fit. So he kind of got injured against Huddersfield, and then they kind of wheeled him back out against Millwall the other day, and then played him wide left for some strange reason. Anyway, he is our one kind of jack in the box. He's our one kind of maverick option to do something. Him and Yasser Asprilla, who can score from outside of the box. He's a jinky little player, and he's playing in the middle of the 4-2-3-1. He's playing in the hole. So he's there, and he gives us something. But we're so slow and ponderous that opposition teams get back, sit in, and then they basically hit us on the break. We saw it all at the start of the season writ large. We've gone through this problem with the team struggling, and we were saying about, look, we've only got 22 players. They look knackered, and there was a response to that and or similar other kind of comments, which was Ishmael coming out and saying it's not the size of the squad, it's the schedule. And it was like, yes. And that's what the championship is. The championship has a schedule that is 46 games over the same number of months. And if you only have 22 players in your squad rather than 25 or 26, you won't be able to rotate as effectively as you can. And we are looking players who are playing below their par because they're either tired, or some of them are playing because they're not properly fit, because there aren't the right options to bring in. That's where we're suffering. So we'll see. Obviously, if this all turns around and we gub you 4-0, then I'll be highly delighted. But we don't see it coming now, not with what we've seen beforehand.
It does look like maybe you guys are on the form of a downward trajectory at the moment, and maybe we're starting to pick up. So positives perhaps for Swansea going into it, but we are still going away. We've had perhaps better away form this season. One thing that I would say has changed for us since we last played is we're using more pace on the wings. We've got a new signing on both wings, actually. Ronaldo in particular, who we've signed, a bit of an unknown Brazilian winger. He's kind of come in and got bums off seats, if you like. So taking players on, using his pace and trickery to create stuff and cause a bit of damage. Got a couple of goals against Sunderland as well, showing that he can finish. So if going into this game, I would say he perhaps be one for you guys to watch out for. But is there anyone in the Swansea team that does worry you that maybe they can do some damage going into this game, other than who I've mentioned, Ronaldo?
Well, after in that, is he a left winger or a right winger?
He plays on the right, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, if he plays on the left, he'll have a field day because we probably won't have a recognised right back in.
Well, we've got, can't say his first name, signed from Norwich, Plaheta. I always struggle with his name at the moment. I'm still learning. But
I'll let you do that
he's pretty quick. If anything, he's probably quicker than Ronaldo. He just hasn't got maybe the skill on the ball to the same level, but he's also been doing quite well since he's come in.
I think Jerry Yates is a player that we much liked, or rather we much disliked, let's be quite honest, when we went up to Blackpool last year, and he came off the bench there and did us 2 goals for fun, and we got beaten 3-1. It was genuinely awful, but he made everybody go, oh really? And when you went and got him, I think I said about it on the reverse fixture, we kind of went, yeah, we hoped that was somebody we might go for, somebody who can potentially make a position his own, or be an impact sub off the bench in that particular instance. And he's got both of those, I think, opportunities if he's the right fit. I think is he your top scorer at the moment? I think he is.
He is the top goal scorer, but maybe you'd be surprised to hear he's actually a bit out of favour at the moment, in terms of selection and with the fans. A lot of the fan base is actually quite done with him and had enough of him missing chances. So it's not worked out as well as perhaps he would have liked. I think, he's got the end of the season to sort of show that he can fit in under the new manager now, and he should be getting more chances as a result of the way we're playing currently. If you look at Notts County under Luke Williams, they were creating so many chances for Langstaff, I believe it was, who was banging them in. So if anything, Yates has got to the end of the season to show maybe he's capable. Otherwise, I feel like they might be going out to get another striker. Maybe it will be Langstaff they look at. But it's not gone the best for him since he's been here.
Well, we have our top scorer is a guy called Mileta Rajovic. He's 6'3", 6'4", Danish guy. And he comes alive providing the ball is rolled in front of him to an open, basically he scores goals, but everything has to be in the right vicinity for him to do it. He doesn't do anything outside of the box. And we've all been frustrated. We were on our podcast, we were fortunate enough last week to interview Troy Deeney for about 4 hours. He just kept giving us time. Bless his heart, he was brilliant for us. And he thinks he's got something because he says he's got the hardest thing is to score goals. And I think you could work on all of the other traditional back to goal, outside of the box, come get it short and pass it. He's just a contradiction. He can do the hardest thing in the game, which is put the ball in the onion bag. But when he comes short, has a player on his back, he just hasn't got the wherewithal to kind of keep a centre back from coming through and nicking the ball and taking it away. And he looks like, frankly, on occasions, a competition winner, a lovely guy by all accounts, but very frustrating when you're watching him and you're thinking, what we really need to do is progress the ball further upfield quicker, and we need an out ball, and we don't have that. So what we tend to play at is this kind of, left back to left centre back to right centre back to right back to back. And there's loads of that forever, and everybody funnels back, keeps it. And then if you've got any racing snakes, like, I don't know, Ronald, hitting us on the break, it's we've seen it on a number of occasions. Sometimes the goals don't come from that, but you can see that it's such an exposed area for us, and there isn't a convincing way for us to be able to get the ball and do anything when we're getting to the final third. We are absolutely we're like I don't know, 14th century sailors. We think we're going to get to the edge of the world and just fall off. That's what happens.
Our defence has been a bit suspect. So to give you a bit of hope, we might create a lot of chances and huff and puff, but we're always capable of conceding a goal, and a poor goal as well. So I definitely would say you'll have chances, and it could come down to who is able to be clinical with the chances that they do have. I know we talked a little bit yesterday about the high line that we like to operate. I know you said he doesn't really have that much pace, but there's definitely going to be chances. We play a high press at the moment, so if they get that wrong, because they are still learning in some areas of the pitch, a few players can break through and be sensible with the options that they take. There might be some in it for your end then.
Well, when we play Bristol City on Boxing Day, they play a high line and a high press, and we play a sort of a high line, but we don't really press, because unless Dennis is playing up front in the middle, because bless him, this Rajovic lad, he runs about as quickly as I do, and I refuse to run under all circumstances. We have the same DNA, he and I, and so they would get the ball and keep it about. But the problem is, if you're pressing, if you're pushed up and you don't have pressure on the ball, then the danger is behind the back line, and you just pass it through. And as I say, if you've got some pace, we don't seem to have that pace. As I say, Asprilla not particularly fast. Dennis did used to be quite fast a couple of years ago, but he's not fit properly. Mateus Martins hardly gets played. Ken Semmer is not in the kind of form where he hit that one against you guys earlier on in the season. So it's really difficult. We've got Bio, who was much maligned, but is now actually quite liked simply because he tries and runs around and tries to shut things down. But he's not the answer either. We in the final third, we are pretty bereft of imagination, of planned coaching movement. And when we improvise, we have to do it from about 25 yards out. And sometimes it's pretty spectacular, but most of the time, you know exactly where it's going, and that's Rosed.
I could ask you both then, one player each for Swansea fans watching, who's going to take it to the pitch that you think that could potentially do damage? Who will be the ones for us to watch out for?
Yeah, I suppose it depends who he starts with. I think, as Peter mentioned earlier on, Yasser Asprilla is a player to watch for sure. He's a fun little Colombian kid, really. He's not very old at all, 19, 20 years old. So if he's playing, I think not so much in terms of damage, although he does have quite a decent shot from outside the box. He scored 2 goals outside the box recently. I'd certainly watch out for Yas. I think he's a fun player to watch for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't know we were
Yes, I'm
abbreviating.
calling him Yes. Yeah, let's call him this. Yes.
Fair enough. Yeah, no.
Watch out for Yas.
I call him a Poundland Foden. And anybody who saw the Man City Man United derby, the goal that he scored, it was not dissimilar to what Yasser Asprilla did at Norwich, and then he had a kind of a similar, slightly less technical one against Rotherham straight away. But again, all from outside of the box. But he's got jinking runs; he can do something good. He was out against Millwall, but that with our manager never means anything. I imagine that maybe because of resting Chakfatadze might be played. A guy called Georgi Chakfatadze, which is why we call him Dave quite a lot. He
I
can
remember that. I remember that.
yeah. He kept. We've all been told off for calling him Dave, which just encourages us, to be quite frank. He can either play wide left or he can play wide left of a kind of a number 8 position in a 4-2-3-1, and he can be quite a bit of fun. He's good to watch, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, a really influential player for us is Wesley Hoot. One, because he has a spectacular wife. I have to say, I always mention that.
Yes.
But secondly, he is
That's the highlight. That's the highlight.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Trust me, I'll get onto Debbie Harry in a minute. Don't worry, it'll be all our yesterdays. He's the most progressive passer out of everything that we do. So we play these balls all along the back line, and very few, if anybody, is going to provide a route out of goal. But we're still kind of playing that kind of a little bit of that suicide ball. Let's play it into our own box and pass it around your forwards. And we have to put in like Man City like passes without Man City like players, just to get it up to the halfway line. You go, this is also unnecessary. So, don't put it past us to not basically aim our own right foot with a 12-bore sawn-off shotgun and keep pulling the trigger till we manage it, because we do on occasions. But Wesley is the one who's able to do it a little bit.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on those guys then. Let's have a prediction then. What do you think the result will be from this match?
Well, I think on the reverse podcast, I went for a 1-0 Swansea. And mate, honestly, I just can't see where the goals are going to come from Watford. So I think we'll lose. I don't think it'll be a heavy defeat. So yeah, I'm going to stick with 1-0 Swansea.
I'm in charge of our predictions. I make everybody jump to my rules, and I don't let anybody have a 1-1 draw. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Firstly, it'll upset Justin, which is very pleasing. But secondly, I can see you scoring first, and perhaps, as you say, perhaps if you are in kind of a wilting, the one time we kind of get going on something, we were 1-0 down from the 3rd minute against Millwall. We didn't actually start really trying to get at them till about the 75th minute. In that last 15 minutes, sometimes something can happen. That's what we had earlier on in the season. We were still conceding first, but we had a bit of resilience. We had a bit of determination, and we could get back into games. If that momentarily clicks, or a moment from one of those players, because we have got good players, but we are not what I wanted to be at the start of the season, which is more than our collective parts. We are not. We are a disparate collection of individuals, and he basically dishes them out into the positions and into the selections like a croupier pushes out cards. There's no point to it. It's just we'll try the same thing and hope for a different result. And strangely, that don't work very often.
It's very poetic, Peter. Like a croupier pushing out cards.
We're talking to Luke. We're talking to a man from the land of Dylan Thomas. He understands lyrical. That's fine.
The land of Dylan Thomas, yes, the local legend here.
Exactly.
But yeah, so basically we need to score 2 to kind of like pull away and feel comfortable.
I think you need to score 1.
Personally. No, fair enough. What I was going to say is basically describe the reverse fixture. We scored first, and then you came back and scored another goal. Isn't that right?
It might happen. But and don't forget, obviously, Wes Hoot, who is probably on for. I would say he's possibly in for player of the season. He's had a good, thorough season, but he's also scored 2 own goals and given a ball away against Ipswich for them to have the win. So we're not beyond, not forcing you to score a goal, but basically just going, look, you come all the way from Wales, let's do it for you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when I referred to the reverse fixture, you did win that game. I wanted to just get your opinions basically on the disallowed goal. I know yesterday you told me maybe you got away with one, but I guess it's nice to hear that from the opposition sometimes.
Pete?
Justin?
No, go on, you do it, mate. Go on.
It was a travesty. If it was the other way around, we would be absolutely... Well, kicking bins is Justin's favourite phrase. When he comes out of the ground and so there's either been an injustice or we've played useless. Bins get a good kicking round here. We looked at it and went, oh, great. Of course you take it. Of course you do. Of course we're cheering. And of course we're going, well, it's happened to us and all of that stuff. But yeah, you don't care about that at the time. You're in the moment. You're in the stadium. You guys were in the stadium. Of course you'd be wanting to
we'd be exactly the same the other way around. It's just you've got to take the comment, haven't you?
I would still take, and we have had ours. I would still take being in the Championship and not having VAR, and taking those dodgy decisions and having these kind of, well, come on, you got away with one of those conversations, whichever way it goes.
There's no guarantee VAR wouldn't have even done anything about that sort of thing anyway, and agreed with the referee with whatever decision he decided was the reason. So
we've had some terrible VAR decisions. I mean, Tottenham away springs to mind immediately for a game where we were basically overturned by VAR twice, and you just think, well, what is the point of VAR if you're not going to get it right anyway? So I'm with you there, Peter. I think I'd rather be in the Championship talking about dodgy decisions. I think it's much more fun. I don't miss VAR. I don't miss the way that a goal goes in. You have to wait to know if it's counted, or you think, or a whistle blows and you go, what's going on? And you don't know. And suddenly something comes up on the screen about a decision about something. What was that? When was that? I just, no.
We never had the experience, unfortunately. We got relegated before it all came out.
Oh, trust me, it's all... There is that meme, isn't there, where it says, kind of pending decision, wrong badge, no goal. And that's absolutely
yeah. There is an element of that as well.
Sure. No, so great. I think the sort of decisions balance out over the seasons, don't they? But I think if you ask a lot of Swans fans as well, based on what's happened since that, a lot of them wanted Michael Duff to go. So it was kind of the beginning of the end. The fact that game wasn't a win. I think we were desperate for a home win and highly expected to get it. I put in quite a poor performance in that game overall. It just led to what has happened ever since. So no bitter thoughts or feelings there. Just thought it'd be funny to mention it. Then. Yeah, silver linings. Yeah, so hopefully maybe the new manager can go put it right. Go put it right on Wednesday. So we'll see. I like to end on a little bit more of a positive note that's not really football related. I think I asked you something similar last time, maybe what your favourite drink was, but this time we switched it up and I'm going to ask you both, what's the best footy scran you've ever had when you've been to a match day?
Oh, easy.
I could even tell you what Peter's is because he mentions it so often. It was Port Vale away and it was a pork and apple bap, wasn't it, Peter?
It was, and it was in 1994. And myself and my mate, we had to drive up to Port Vale, obviously, in Stoke, and then the following Tuesday we had to drive up to Stoke because we were at Stoke. Thanks very much for that, guys. And we stopped at this little pork and apple and crackling and everything. We kind of had one each, and we got. If you've ever been to the back end of the Port Vale away stand, we got all the way, queued up, got to the front, and went, get another one. Yep, went straight back again. It was very good. 94, good vintage.
There you go. I knew that. I remember going to Villa Park back in probably the early 2000s, maybe, and having one of their Balti pies, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. And then I think maybe the season after that, we introduced them at Vicarage Road. So I don't know whether someone came back and went, I've tasted the future in Birmingham, and I think we should have Balti pies.
That does sound very good.
Fantastic. The first time the English language has involved the words future and Birmingham. Brilliant.
Well, that's a good note to end on. Everyone I ask this question says Hull Ground has got this amazing food. I don't know if either of you've been there and tasted it, but the amount of people I've had on and asked that question, I've come back with Hull. I need to go to Hull away just to see if this is correct. And you mentioned Port Vale. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I got a fun fact about Port Vale and saying it's the only club in the EFL that actually is in a place.
I think that's right. There's not actually a place called Port Vale, is there?
Yeah.
That's in Burslem.
Yeah. Because I remember a story I was reading the other day that I don't know if you've heard of the internet club that's been created called #United. It's a bit of a story there.
We have a story about Ben Foster and #United.
Yeah. So they wanted to enter, and I think entered the league system, obviously from the bottom, and they were told they couldn't because they don't have this in our place. And I'm pretty sure they used Port Vale as an example to say, okay, that's fine, but where's Port Vale? No, and I think maybe they managed to get in because of that argument. But yeah,
of course,
so it's quite interesting.
I think there is one other now, Forest Green Rovers, who are in Stroud, I think it is, somewhere like that, just outside of Stroud. They're not. They don't play in Forest Green.
Who were Total Network Solutions? Wasn't that a team? Am I making that up?
That was in the Welsh league.
TNS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
TNS in the Welsh system.
They're not a league team then, they're not.
No, they are. They are in the Welsh leagues. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But I think the Welsh leagues is full of random little teams, and
I mean, those were always really pleasing scores, like Total Network Solutions 2, Airbus 3. Brilliant. Love that.
Yeah. Airbus is another team. Yeah. It's mad, but there's a lot of investment going into Welsh football, so it'll be interesting to see if anything comes of it in the next few years. But that's another conversation, whether that actually turns into anything. But I would love to say thank you very much to both of you for jumping on the channel tonight. And would you like to tell the viewers where they can find your content? Because it is interesting. You can go and watch that 4-hour-long podcast with Troy Deeney as well, maybe.
Yeah, that was good fun. And we've had a lot of feedback on that. So yeah, if you want, that's actually audio only. You can find that on any of the good podcast channels. If you can go to donotScratchYourEyes.com is the website. There's links to everything on there. There is a YouTube channel. We're basically everywhere where you would expect us to be. But even if you're not a fan of Watford, I think the Troy Deeney episodes are worth listening to just to find out what goes on in a football club. We were sitting there going, hey, what? So, yeah. But yes, we're everywhere. And thank you for having us on, Luke. It's always a pleasure.
No, always love having you guys on. And of course, anyone that has listened when the TalkSport Fan Network's been on as well, you might have heard Justin's voice.
Yes, that's me, and I'm imagining we'll be talking to you again soon as well. So it'll be good to.
Yeah, I hope so. I look forward to it. And another selling point for your guys' podcast. This is a good one. They have some predictions from, first of all, the dog, and second of all, backgammon set.
Yeah, a backgammon set. Yeah,
yes, down the go.
This is
good. Check that out.
This is the direction that VAR should be going in, is, to be honest with you. They just turn around and go, what's the score?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very good content, so I really enjoy when I come on your videos. So anyone that wants a little bit more pre-match content ahead of Wednesday's game, go check out that as well, and you'll get to see these lovely predictions. Maybe one of them will be correct, and one of them was a very good scoreline for Swansea fan. I actually think both of them might have been, to be fair. So go check that out, and maybe you will fill with some positive vibes ahead of the match. But thanks as always, Pete and Justin. I'm sure we'll catch up again next season, hopefully in the Championship.
Yes.
And yeah, we can chat again soon.
Pleasure. Thank you, Luke.
Pleasure as always. Safe driving up. Anybody who's coming, guys. Safe journey.
Thank you.